Hello friends. So in last video we did learn about how can we read the data from Excel, right? So we had created this particular class in our last video wherein we tried to understand okay that what is the meaning of workbook, how the sheet runs, how do we iterate across the rows and columns and everything, right? So in this particular video what are we going to learn is after reading the data from Excel, how are you going to integrate it with your Selenium script and pass those Excel parameters from your test case into the code, right? Into your application. Like, for example, you need to run your login test case with different credential set. So your username password is kept into an Excel. Okay, so what do you need to do? You have your username password into an Excel. You want your test case to read the first set of username password, pass it into the application, check if that's working correctly as expected or not, and then repeat the same process for the second, third, fourth, fifth, and so on, whatsoever the number is. Okay, so how can you do that? That is something that we are going to do it in this particular video. Okay, so for this, what all dependencies do we require? Let's see that first. Okay, so if you see here, this POI and POI OXML, these two dependencies are there from the last video itself. Okay, these are for reading the Excel. Now we are going to do it via TestNG. So obviously we will need the TestNG dependency, Selenium obviously, and then the WebDriver manager. Okay, this WebDriver manager dependency we will be using in order to launch our Chrome browser. Okay, if you want to know more about, like, if you didn't have a chance to go through the video wherein we understood how to read the data through Excel or how to launch the Chrome browser without using executable but with using WebDriver manager, I will be putting those links above this video also, and also at the end of this video. Okay, so you can go through them. Okay, that's all. So let's get started, guys. Okay, fine. So first thing what we are going to do, let me first quickly show you the website in which we are going to run this test. Okay, so okay guys, so this is our Orange HRM website. Okay, so here we will be um, testing this particular test, okay, for the parameterization. Okay, so you see here guys, this admin and admin123 is the correct credentials for it. So if I pass here admin and then I pass here admin123, in that case it logs in and it redirects us to the dashboard page. Okay, so I'll also show you the Excel that I've prepared. Okay, so here is the Excel. So you see I've put the username, password, title, headers here. Username, password admin123. So in that case the title should have dashboard. On the other hand, let me sign out and put some invalid stuff here. Okay, in this case it shows this validate credentials text in the URL, right? So if you see here, I have put that validate credentials text here. So what will be validating? We'll be validating that if I put admin123, it should redirect us to the URL which have dashboard. And if we put username password like this, some random thing, it should redirect us to the URL having this particular text. Okay, so let's start with automating this entire scenario. So I'll move to my Eclipse. Okay guys, good. So I'll start with creating my test case. Okay, let me name it public void login into application. Okay, that's all. Let me just import it. Okay, now guys, in TestNG we have an annotation called DataProvider. Okay, this annotation actually helps you in returning your data from the Excel one by one. One by one in the sense row by row. Okay, so I'll try to make you understand what I mean to say here. Okay, so let me go to my Excel. So if you see here guys, I need this row to get passed first, right? So I need this username, this password redirecting to this title. So I need this row's data to be, I think, captured first. Once this row is done, then I want this row. Similarly, with the n number of rows that I might have, I want this data to be processed row by row, right? So processing this data row by row, data provider is an annotation provided by TestNG that help us doing this. Okay, so at the rate data provider. Okay, now guys, one thing that you need to keep in mind, okay, date what, and this is a very common interview question, what is a return type from the data provider? So data provider always returns here to the object array. Okay, so please remember this, that the return type of a data provider is always a 2D object array. Okay, one more thing that you should know, why object array, why not string, why not boolean, why not numbers? Okay, because object is a parent class in Java. When I say parent class, that means it is a data type which can store any other data type. Okay, like it can store string, it can store boolean, it can store characters, it can store float, double, anything, right? If you declare a variable as object type, it will be able to store any other data type that you want to do. Okay, and in Excel you can have multiple combinations of data types, right? Therefore it's like the return type is object array. Okay, okay, so now what are we going to do in this? In this we'll have to read the data from Excel, right? So what I'll do is I'll create one more function. Okay, so this function also I will say that, okay, this will also return a 2D object array, and let me name it as read Excel data. Okay, fine. So this function will return me a 2D object array which will be actually reading the Excel data. Okay, and let me say that this function will be parameterized with the file path. Okay, so I'll pass into this function that, okay, what location my file is, and accordingly this will read the data from my Excel, right? Okay, so I'll quickly code now the data for reading the Excel. So guys, the detailed explanation for this we have already studied that in our last video. In case you haven't watched that video, I will really recommend you to please go to that video. The link for that is right top here, else I'll also provide that in the end of this video. Okay, okay, so after this I'll create an object of file input stream. Fis is equal to new. File input stream, which will take file as a parameter. Okay, after that we'll create XSSF workbook. Why? Because we are going to deal with XLSX type of workbook. Okay, so XSSF workbook WB is equal to new XSSF workbook. Okay, this will take that file as a parameter. Now we need to deal with the sheet. XSSF sheet is equal to new XSF sheet. Okay, sorry, so this will give workbook dot get sheet and my sheet index is 0. Okay, okay, now what are we going to do? I'll iterate iterator of row itr is equal to, I can say, sheet dot iterator. Okay, so this will be actually going through the entire thing. So object, I'll create a 2D object array now with the name data is equal to new object. Now guys, the main thing here, what is the like if I'm creating an array, you must be knowing that we need to provide the number of rows and a number of columns that will be there in the array, right? So number of rows can be any, so we'll not hard code the number of rows, rather we have a function called get last row number. Okay, so it will return you the number of rows that you have. So right now we have 3, so it will be returning is 3. Okay, so get last row number, and then you give 2. Why are we providing 2? Sorry, 3. Why are we providing 3? Because you see we have 3 columns, so we'll be providing 3, right? Okay. Fine, guys. Now, what's next? Now we'll be putting a for loop. So for int I equals to 1, I less than equal to sheet dot get last row number I plus plus, right? So this particular for loop will help you iterating the rows. Why I have taken it from 1 and not 0? Reason, I don't want the columns to be captured, I only want the data to be captured, right? Therefore I'm taking it from 1 till the end. Okay, so within that, now I've come inside the rows. Now my internal for loop will be for columns. In j equals to 0, j less than sheet dot get row of I dot get last cell number, okay, and j plus plus. So what does this particular thing means? This means that from the sheet, for example, if I is equal to 1, so I'm getting the first row and I'll check, okay, how many columns does first row have? Okay, so I'll be iterating accordingly, right? Right. Now, within that, cell is equal to sheet dot get row of I dot get cell of j, right? So first row, 0th column. So I'm saying that, okay, my current cell is first row and 0th column. Within that, I'll be putting the date code from our last. Okay, so I'll copy this and let me paste it here, right? Perfect. Okay, guys. So I am now, why it is I minus 1, right? Because see, guys, my i's value is 1, but in array I will have to store it from the 0th index, correct? Therefore, for the first row, my data will be stored in the 0th index. For the second row, my data will be stored in the first index, and so on, right? Now, let me add throws declaration, and at the end, what I'm going to do is I'll say, okay, return my data array, right? So what we have done here, guys, okay, actually this thing was not needed, so let me remove it. Fine. What are we going here? I've read the file, I've iterated from the first row, 0th column till the last column. For each row column, I've stored that in the cell, okay, and then depending on the cell type, I'm reading its value and storing it in the 2D data array. And once this entire for loop is complete, I'm saying that, okay, I'm done, return the data. Okay, and what this data provider will do? It will do return, okay, and I'll have to pass my path of the file here. Okay, so I've skipped that file path here in my notepad. Okay, so it is here. Let me copy it, come back here, and then paste it. Okay, so okay, let me just remove the double slashes. Right, and then the throws. Awesome. Fine, guys, so we are good, right? Now what are we going to do here? Okay, so please remember one thing, the number of columns that you are reading from Excel. Okay, so what number of columns are we reading at this moment? We are reading 3 columns, right? If I show you the Excel, see, I need to capture username, I need to capture password, and I need to capture title, right? You need to capture 3 columns. So therefore, here there should be 3 variables. There should be 3 variables like string username, string password, string, comma, string title. If there are 10 columns you want to read, then there should be 10 variables here. Okay. Okay. And also you will have to tell your test that, okay, my data provider name is, what's the name of my data provider? My data provider name is this. Okay, good to go. Now, what are we going to do here now? Simple code like WebDriver, manager. So firstly, I'll launch my Chrome, right? Followed by that, WebDriver, driver is equal to new Chrome driver, correct? Once that's done, I can say driver.manage.timeouts. Let us put implicitly wait of 10 seconds. Also, I'll maximize my browser. So dr.manage.windows.maximize, right? Followed by that, let me navigate to my URL. Okay, let's see. Take the URL from the Chrome. Okay, so here is my URL, right? Okay, now I will be capturing is a username web element in which I will be passing the username variable, right? So my data provider will read that username variable from the first row, right? For example, okay, so data provider firstly will return me this, right? So 3 variables, first this, second this, third this, right? So first I'll get this one. So that will be coming into this variable, password will be coming into this variable, and title will be coming into this variable. Okay. Okay, before I proceed ahead, guys, I've just put the name randomly. Please do not get confused that the names in column name in Excel and column variable name here should be same. No, it can be different. Okay, the value will come and get stored in this particular variable. Right. Okay, so in my first element, I will store username. In my second variable, I'll store password, and then I'll click OK. So I'll store password here, and then I'll click on my login button. Right. Let's check the username password web elements. So I'll open the developers tool and let's capture this. Okay. So ID is text username. So within this web element, I'll put this, right? Within this text password, I'll enter the password that I receive. And then for this login button, we have an ID called button login. So I'll click on this. Right, guys? And once that is done, I want to assert true. I'll get the URL of the page. Oh, sorry, it is tr. I'll get the URL of the page and I will validate if it contains the title that I have put in my Excel or not. It should, right? If not, I'll print a message. The given credentials redirected to an unexpected page. Right, guys? That's pretty much. That's all. Okay. So why is it giving me an error? Okay. Okay. So by mistake, I had imported a JUnit assert. So let us remove it. I'll try importing again, and I need to this one, right? Okay, guys, that's all. And at the end, what I'll do once this assertion is done, okay, so what I want to do is I want to open and close my browser each time. Like for my each test case instance, I want this thing to get validated for a on a new web page. Okay, so I'll be making use of the TestNG assertions. Okay, so I'll say at the rate before test, what you need to do, or actually at the rate before method, what do you want to do? Public void setup. Okay, let me import it. Right. So now I'm going to copy this much part and paste it here. Right. So launching the Chrome driver till navigating to URL, that I'm doing in before method, so that it happens at each instance. For each test case run, this should happen. Okay. Similarly, after each test run, public void tear down. Okay, I want it to quit the browser. Right, guys? Now what will happen? Like my this test case is going to run two times. Why two times? Because my Excel has two data set, right? If it would have 10, my test case will run 10 times, right? So for now it's going to run two times. So my this test case will run two times, and for two times this before method and after method will be running. Right. Now the only issue that we see right now is with this dr element. Okay, it's saying that okay, I don't identify any dr. Why is that so, guys? Because we have shifted this dr variable to before method, and this is now local to this particular method. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll create it globally. Okay, I'll remove the local instance for that. Okay, so as soon as I do that, my errors are removed. I have created this variable globally, so this variable should be now accessible across my test case. Right, guys? That's all that you have to do. Okay, now let's quickly run and check. Okay, so my first Chrome instance has launched. It has redirected to that URL. Okay, guys, there is some issue because it's taking UN1 PW1 and UN2 PW2, which was there last time. Okay, let me check the location to my Excel. This is credentials.xlsx. I hope I have saved it. Okay, let me run it once again. Okay, it redirected the login page. It wasn't saved, so that's my fault. I'm sorry. Okay. So it's running for the second time. Okay, so it passed twice. Let's see the results. Okay, so you see here, guys, first time admin123 dashboard, un2pw2, it redirected to the validate credentials page, and my both test case passed. Now let's do something wrong. Okay, so let me say that okay, this un2pw2 should also redirect to dashboard page. Okay, so in this case what should happen? My one test case should be passed and another should fail. Okay, so let me save it and then rerun it. Okay, okay, so first time this is the correct one, right? Browser closed, and now the second instance. Okay, now you see here guys, two tests and one failure. You see the blue mark, that is the assertion fail, and you see the given credentials redirects to an unexpected page. Correct? Okay, so that's all for this particular video guys. Let us quickly summarize what we have done. We have created a function called read Excel data. We have coded for reading the Excel data. Okay, so I'm reading the rows from 1 till the last of the row. Okay, from zeroth column from till the last column. Why from the first row? Because I do not want my headers to be captured, right? So depending on the type of data, get string cell value, get numeric cell value, I'm storing it in a 2D array and then I'm returning it. Okay, so my data provider calls that function, passes the file path, and then returns me a 2D object array. As I'm working with three columns, okay, right here. So as I'm working with three columns, I need three variables passed on here, right? Mandatorily, I need to say that, okay, who is my data provider for this particular test case? So my data provider is get data. From where did I derive get data? This function name, right? That should be provided here. Now your normal code, it's just that rather than hard coding my username and password, I'm reading from the parameters and your remaining code logic and nothing else. This is as simple as that. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and do let me know for any questions that you might have. Keep watching, keep coding. Bye bye.